Following the collapse of a multi-storey building under construction in Victoria Street this afternoon, multiple disaster service personnel, including SAP search and rescue teams with sniffer dogs, are currently involved in a rescue operation to retrieve 53 trapped construction. The collapse occurred at 14:09 this afternoon, with the first emergency call coming in. Rescue operations continue at the building collapse site on Victoria Street today with a multidisciplinary rescue team of more than 200 emergency services. This leaves 39 persons unaccounted for. Of the 36 patients retrieved, 7 are deceased. 16 are red patients, that is critical. Garden Route District Municipal JOC confirms that a previously hospitalized red patient has been declared deceased. The rescue operation is now approaching 91 hours as at 10 of May. Leon van Wyk expressed his sincere condolences on behalf of George Council. Our thoughts are with the families and all those affected who continue to wait on word of their loved ones.
I was thinking I'm gonna die because it's not easy to stay with that place. It's not easy. People was crying there. You see, I was crying a lot. So you heard the people shouting, screaming there. Like my heart was breaking. So it's not easy. It's not easy. It's like I think I was losing my mind there. I was praying all the time. So please, God, help me. You understand? I want to stay alive because I have the small kids. I have to rest now, you see. So I think God, they should hear me more pray.
Good afternoon. We've hoped and prayed for a miracle, and after 6 days, 116 hours later, we made contact with a person. We can speak to him, and they're busy sending water to him. We'll try our utmost best to get him out alive.
Hello guys, I'm okay now, everything is okay. Thank you. God bless you guys.
Let's go.
It started like any other day, but one thing I've learned and one thing that I like about the service is no one day is ever the same, and things happen very unexpectedly. So I popped my head into the office and he said a building collapsed. Now our first thought always is people always tell the short story. It's an accident, never how big it is, how bad it is. And from experience and from what we've learned, it's always a part of a building, a wall, a part of the roof that collapsed. So to get there, and it was an entire building, entire building, something that we drove past the week before, standing 5 stories high, to nothing.
Yeah, I remember what the day kick off. We was quite busy in the office during the morning, and just after 2, we was lucky enough. All 4 of the officers were on duty, and all of a sudden the telephone ring, and you got the call. Listen, we've got a building collapse, and yeah, the first thing going through your mind, a building collapse in George. I don't think that will happen. And you think more like a wall is collapsing or something like that. And so we all respond to the scene. It was just dust, and people screaming and shouting for help. And yeah, the moment when we got to the scene, all of a sudden all the people standing around, and you see this big pile of rubble.
I think it was very soon that I've realized how serious this was. I have a recollection of speaking to the people in charge of the building site. We kept asking everybody that you came across, what do you know, who's in there, where do you come from? And I remember coming across the manager of the scene, and he said his staff was in there, and I kept pushing him for information. Who's in there? How many was it? And I eventually had him at my command vehicle. And once he started giving me numbers, I realized we're talking about 50, 60 people here. And when you work through the scene, you start doing very quick looks and calculations of how many people have you seen that could have been in here. And then I started realizing we are looking for a lot of people here. We are really looking for a lot of people here. I mean, these type of things is usually it's 2 or 3 or 4. And when I started running those numbers in my head and talking to them, I realized this is way bigger than just what I'm used to or what I've expected initially. What am I looking for? Am I looking for a painter or an electrician? Am I looking for a bricklayer or a guy operating machine? Is he inside a machine, or was he not busy laying a brick with cement, or whatever the case may be? So you kick into a different gear of obtaining data, because information is the only thing that you have at that point. And also thinking about what you now need. Resources, more ambulances, more fire staff, more pathology staff, more body bags.
I remember that day I was working there. So in 12 o'clock I was the lunchtime. We stayed 1 hour, get back to work. So after it's 1 o'clock. So I was working after that 2 o'clock. So I heard something say, "Kah." So if I look the top, I see the roof is coming. So if I try to run, that building is going down like this. So there's no way I can run, you see. So I fall down there. So that time, I don't know. I was speaking with another guys. I was Armando. I was doing plastering with that side, with that building. So I said, Armando, if you get help first, you're gonna tell the people will come to help me. So Armando, these guys, we rest Armando. Armando should forget to tell that guys. We have someone there. That's why I stay 5 days there. It's 6 days, yeah. 6 days. I stay 6 days. Since Monday to Saturday. Yes, I stay 6 days there. Yes, I remember, because inside there was the bricks. So that bricks I was holding that slab. So I was like this. Me, if I sleeping, I move like this and like this. So inside we have too much bricks there. So I was dark there. I was worried. I was thinking I'm gonna die there. Yes, I was suffering my pain here in the back, because that time I was coming down. I followed away with this side here. So I tried to scream, calling help, but no help. So every night, day and night, people were working, trying to rest the people. If I hear something, the noise, I have to shout, understand? I have to call help, 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 until Saturday. Saturday, if I was, I, I was sleeping. So I heard something, the radio for the people. You see. So I wake up. So if inside I see the light, yeah, the light. So I call the help, help, help. So someone talked to me. What's your name, sir? I said, I'm Gabriel. From Monday, I'm here. I'm stuck in here. So yeah, well, these guys we try to left the I don't know that roof. It's not the roof. It's the slab. So we try, but these guys didn't we didn't find to. So we take the jackhammer. So we digging up there. So we find me, they put the camera, we see the way when I was there. So we stay, say, you can move a little bit inside, so we wanna break here. So these guys we break. So after that we rest me. After that we say I have to close my eyes because the sun is gonna damage my eyes because I stay long time in that side there.
The day starts, we're handing over, and so everyone is going to his different section, and we start working, and all of a sudden they call for a silent, and they bring the dogs in, and after that they said they definitely heard someone is still alive in this rubble. And you said, no, that can't be, because we was working with heavy duty machinery was on that spot, and we don't think that can be. And yeah, that's the day we got to Gabriel Gumba. I think that was one of the nicest feeling I ever had in my life. So that's just, listen, after 118 hours, he was trapped in that building, and now all of a sudden he's getting out there. It's give you just more guts to go on with the scene and work. Yeah, that was an amazing feeling.
When the rescue teams had to now become actively involved in looking for people, spots, etc., then you look at what do you have. You have to manage the teams. Eventually the teams were divided into at least 4 or 5 organizations comprising a team. There's a policeman, there's a forensics, there's an ambulance person, there's firefighters, and then they were supported by volunteers that now became almost like your laborers that helped with lifting and moving the rocks and moving the debris. And then when it started coming to those points of where they find people, those all silent calls, they would ask me, we need a silence, and I had to give that instruction. So the purpose of the all quiet was for the rescue teams to confirm if they've heard or seen anything. So the rescue teams would dig a specific space or hole, and they would try and find voids to see if they can locate people. And with that, they had these cameras with the long arms, and some of the cameras had even a microphone at the end, and they would stack these into little holes where you could not see. And they would explore these type of voids to see and hear if we could hear anything. So they would request all quiet, and then we go dead silent on scene, so that technician can confirm whether he saw or heard something. Based on those feedback, they would say they might use it to just confirm that they found somebody, or the person is still talking to them, or they might even not know where the person is yet. They've just heard him, and they are exploring whether it's going to the left or to the right of the void. What was very interesting afterwards is because of the location of the collapse, we never realized it because the air horn or the signal is a internationally used standards for urban search and rescue procedures. But what we didn't realize was how much that all clear sound would affect the people beyond the incident. We afterwards heard how people in coffee shops and in businesses close by would hear when the air horn goes off or all quiet. And those people would stop and go down on their knees and start praying because they think that it could be a sign that somebody was found. And it would set off, some of the families that were close by, they would interpret it with a possible finding. So for them, it was a very emotional, a setting off, a catalyst for an emotional reaction.
I'm not sure exactly what I was doing, but I was in this building and I got a message from Anton Bradell, who's whose responsibility it is disaster management. A building has collapsed in George. And initially my mind was a house fell over or something like that. And then it was sort of like within the next sort of minute or two, then details started to come through, and then you realize this is a big building that's collapsed. And in that moment, I could see that from the disaster team, they were already dispatching. And so the immediate dispatch is the local disaster team. So George dispatched, George district, so the municipality, and then the district steps in. But I could also see that the dispatch team out of our provincial, the JOC gets called, and then they were saying we need teams to go to George. And when you see that, then you know this is much bigger than, and that was for me much bigger than I initially thought. And it was horrendous. It was like you always see on news broadcasts of earthquakes. That was my feeling when I got there. It's like an earthquake, and this building has collapsed. And then you see it, and then you realize the magnitude of it, and you realize that there are people underneath all of this rubble. And that becomes difficult. It took probably another hour or two in engaging with a JOC, etc., that I then thought, well, whose fault is this? And I started asking questions about, well, obviously there's going to be people underneath there that have died. And that automatically, that's a police investigation. But who's going to find out why this happened? And that's when I said, I think we need to get our own investigator as the province, so that if anything else fails, we've at least got that investigation happening. And then I must say that our team very, very quickly got one of our engineering companies who were obviously on our supplier database, got them contracted, and the engineers arrived, and they started, obviously inspecting and investigating, collecting photographs and evidence, checking, how many reinforcing bars were in a pillar as they were moving them off, because they were slowly but surely trying to lift these layers of concrete, these pancakes that were all lying on top of each other, and listening and stopping, and dogs, but they were already, taking those samples. Because the other problem is that you can't test it afterwards. As it was coming off, they were testing it. I got information that it was completed by the end of last year, but the one thing that they wanted to do is make sure it can stand up any scrutiny. So they had a last process to do, and that was the peer review. So they would then have got other independent engineers to actually review their investigation. And that was completed early in January. And then obviously we got the report. Once we got the report, I received it from the engineers. I had our legal team with us. At that stage, our legal people, the advice was, this must not be compromised, and you should hand it over to the police so that it can aid their investigation. I then met with General Patikile and his full investigation team and the investigators that are busy on the case and have been from the beginning. And we said to them, this is our legal advice. We would like to hand it over to you. They said, yes, we support that. And that's what we've done. And obviously people in the legislature want to know, what did it have in it? The media want to know what did it have in it. And of course, most importantly, the families of the victims. They want to know. And they want to know that there's consequences. A year on, they want to know, why did this happen? How did it happen? Who is responsible? And one understands that. So now it is in the realms of the investigation, and hopefully it gets into the charge status and the court status as quickly as possible. Obviously, there are different organizations like the Department of Labor, like we've seen the NHBRC. There are different organizations that would have different roles to play, the municipality, the planning approval process, all of those things, they all play a role. And because someone's died, that would play into the police investigation because there's got to be consequences.
On the 6th of May 2024, we learned, which shocked all of us in the country, that the Neo Victoria project, which was a residential building that was still under construction, had collapsed in George in the Western Cape. The building collapse constituted a historic and a horrific disaster which remained fresh in the memories of many South Africans. This terrible disaster will live and forever linger in the memories of the survivors, their families, friends, and people who were close by who had to experience this sad tragedy. It claimed 34 lives, and some of the survivors are still recovering from the devastating days, which has changed their lives permanently. As a caring government, we want to promise the families and friends of the departed workers who got befallen by the tragic incident that fateful day in the hands of negligence, which could have been avoided, that their lives were lost but not in vain. In line with its mandate, therefore, which regulates South Africa's home building industry, the NHBRC correctly so initiated an investigation to understand the factors that led to the collapse of the building. In doing so, this required a service provider to conduct a proper forensic investigation into the reported allegations and to make necessary recommendations. In summary, the investigation concluded that the collapse of a building was as a result of systemic failures across multiple levels of oversight. Non-compliance with regulatory standards, mismanagement by both NHBRC and the project personnel, and these failures included irregular status upliftment, late enrollment, inspection lapses, material quality issues, and safety violations. The report points lightly on the failures of the inspectors and internal control in as far as NHBRC is concerned. So based on these findings, the investigation report made several recommendations to enable NHBRC to improve its processes, thus ensuring enhanced quality assurance, transparency, and enforcement of efficiency, mainly to high-risk projects. This is to avert collapses, loss of lives, but also endangering even people who are working on site. The outcome of the investigation has also made recommendations that implicated officials to be held accountable for their actions. The charges that will be leveled against them include, amongst others, dereliction of duty, misconduct, negligence, dishonesty, and misrepresentation in official inspection reports. We will continue to monitor that this is done by following due processes. I must add also that there are charges which were referred further for SAPS investigation in areas where as NHBRC we do not carry a mandate to go beyond. And the construction company has been referred as well to SAPS for investigation. So based on the outcome of the investigation, NHBRC has since suspended the officials who have been mentioned in the report to enable more investigation into the matter. And we have since handed over a report into law enforcement agencies. And we take further cognizance that our investigation had only looked at the responsibilities and the role of the NHBRC. We truly appreciate that other organs of state are conducting their own investigations and believe that ours will contribute towards their own investigations as well. But we take key responsibility because we are mandated with ensuring the safety of buildings.
The doctor, we said that the back is gonna be right? So I have to go to hospital to take some medication, you see. If I try to work, if I left something heavy, my back, I feel pain. So I don't feel to work. So I have to relax to see, but I'm trying. So sometimes my friends will come to take me to do some pitch jobs. That time I was taking the tiles and tile cement on top there. So I was trying to finish, so to go home fast, you see, but we didn't make it. I was not believed, but the thing is happening. I don't want to remember that thing, eh?